Welcome back to the Catnip Podcast. My name is Grace, and today is Monday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, of course, which cannot go unsaid. I'm sure everyone's Facebooks were filled with this. All social medias, really, not just Facebook. So anyway, that is the thing. This is a podcast not about Star Wars, although my husband is quite the Star Wars fan. This is a podcast about knitting, books, baking, and cats, but most importantly knitting, because that is what I love to do all the time, in addition to the other things, but mainly knitting. That is what I'm going to talk about today. If you would like to follow me on any of my social medias, I have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Ravelry. I'm most active on Instagram, so please go follow me over on there. I also have Goodreads, Pinterest, all that jazz. I believe all of that is in the show notes, which are on my blog. So if you like to find out any of the things that I talk about today in this episode, or my Goodreads or Pinterest, etc., yes, it's all on my blog. In addition to that, I work at a yarn store. It's called The Modern Skein in Montgomery, Texas. We are currently open, reduced hours, and also curbside is available if you would so desire that. We have a people limitation currently. Granted, I am recording this on Monday, and this goes up on Wednesday, and I don't know if anything will be announced between now and then. That was the case last week. Hence the text edit that I included in last week's episode. Anyway, I'm just recording with the information that I have on Monday, May 4th. Be with you. I have a lot of knitting to talk about. I have some knitting that I have some test knits, some other things, a new cast on, a finished object. It's all good. Baking, books. The cat is asleep, like, down here. Last week he joined me. This week he wanted a blanket on the floor. So that's what he has. So he is here. All the things have been covered. So with that in mind, why don't you go grab something tasty to drink? I have a Coke today because it's 2:15 and I have powered through my to-do list. I feel amazing, and so I'm going to reward myself with Coke and also to help power me through the rest of the day, for I am very tired. But anyway, if you'd like to go grab something tasty to drink, something to snack upon, an animal to snuggle, something to craft upon, laundry to fold, or all of the above, and you can come back and join me for some crafty chat. So, everyone, not having to do with anything that I have just been talking about, but I really like this setup. Do you guys like this setup? I realize that there's not like a big thing of yarn behind me like there normally is, but I'm considering keeping this setup when things go back to normal. I don't know. I like this setup because I also get to sit in a comfy chair while I record. And the lighting is really good. And I do decorate a little bit with some yarn. So that's thing number one. Thing number two, my to-do list. Yes, we woke up, we did have a slow start to our Monday, but that's okay because we went and did our running, which we're working through the Couch to 5K app for fun. We're not necessarily running a 5K at the end of this, or at the end of this program, but it was like something that we could do outside of the house. And so we did week 4, day 1 today, and it was rough. It was rough. But came home, or we run around our apartment complex, so we like walked home to our building, all that jazz. We did all of our stuff, continued. I had a moment. I'm sure I'm not the only one in this situation where, like, specifically on Mondays, but also pretty much any day of the week, like, you get through the morning pretty productively, and then you hit like maybe 11:30 or right after lunch and you just lose all steam, and so you're like, I don't want to do anything. That was me today. And then I magically picked myself back up, powered through. I turned on an audiobook in my headphones because Sam was working at the kitchen table. I made a bunch of food. Not a bunch of food. I started prepping sourdough English muffins, and I also made the chocolate chip cookie dough, which is currently refrigerating, so I can bake it after this is done. Did a bunch of cleaning, did most of the laundry. Like, literally all that's left is folding this one load that's down here. Like, that's all that's left. Normally, by this time, things are barely getting done, laundry-wise. And so, lots of general tidying. I took finished object pictures of a sweater that I test knit earlier this year. When you see this on Wednesday, it will have come out yesterday, which is very exciting. It's current when I am recording it. It is currently not named, so yes, but I think the name is being decided this evening or tomorrow sometime. So anyway, it'll be linked in the show notes. Excuse me. So that's exciting. I did that. That was super productive. Sam had to go do some work stuff. He had to go mail things with his pumps, all that jazz. I don't know how that works. So I poured myself a Coke, and I'm taking this time to record while he is gone because I just do better when I'm by myself. I don't know why that is. Unless I'm recording with him, in which case it's still different, but I do better recording the podcast when I know I'm the only one in the apartment. Fun fact. So anyway, this is what I'm doing. I'm very tired. That's why I poured myself a Coke. I've done a lot. Played some Animal Crossing as well. I did that early this morning because that's definitely the right thing to do to start your Monday. It's not. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. It just wasn't probably the best thing to do. I'll be playing it later today for sure because, like I said, my to-do list is pretty much done for the most part. All that's left is working on things like test knits and making sure Ravelry pages are updated and all that jazz. So fun stuff. Not things like laundry or emptying the dishwasher, which are also important but not as fun. We have talked a lot about this, so let's just move on. Knitting wise, I do have 2 test knits. One of them I am not super positive that I can show currently, so I'm not going to. I apologize for that. I should have checked this beforehand, but I did not. But I would hope, fingers crossed, that by the time next week rolls around, I'll be done with it. Which, even then, I don't know if I can show it to you, but hopefully I'll be done with it. It's a big shawl, basically. It's a big shawl on big needles, lots of fun yarn. It's great. So my other test knit, I have made good progress on. I go in, like, spurts of working on this. Like, sometimes I'm just, like, going to town with this, but other times it's just like, I don't want to work on this. And I don't know why that is. It has nothing to do with the pattern because I have figured it out. This is my Hedra Helix pullover. I got the name wrong last week. But it's by Rosemary, or the Woolly One, on Instagram. And I have the front and back. This is the front. Is that not beautiful? I'm sorry. Can we just, like, my brioche skills? Yes. Yes, they're so good. So this is the front. I've been working on that. This is the back so far. Not a whole lot, but I'm just gonna do the same thing on the back. If you haven't seen the past couple episodes, the new thing about this for me is that it's all charted brioche. I have never, up until this point, I had never done charted brioche. I saw that chart and I was like, oh my, that's a lot. And it was a lot, but I got it down. And then, so I did my 8 or however many inches in the round of this chart. It was great. I had a process. It was wonderful. And then I had to switch it to doing it flat. And oh my goodness, I struggle busted real hard, which is totally a verb. The 2 words together, struggle bussing it. It was an intense several hours while I was trying to figure it out. I got pretty frustrated with myself, but I did get it. And since then, I have gotten into a rhythm. I have a groove. I know how to mark my rows as I go, what works for me, and how to do it quickly. But getting it started, let me tell you, was rough. Very rough. But I learned new things. I also persevered, and I didn't give up. Because I did think about it, I was like, because it was also late at night. And we all know, as knitters, or really anything, if you're working on something that requires a lot of brain power at night, there's a good chance that you're probably gonna mess it up. Mainly because you're tired and your brain is like, it's almost time for bed. I'm not ready to do any kind of hard labor. I'm just going to go into sleepy mode. And then you mess up. You know, good old brain sleepy mode. It was late, but I knew that if I did not figure it out, that I would be even more frustrated with it the next day. So I kept on going, and it took at least an hour to figure out what I had done and how to get myself back going the right direction. It ended up being a very simple fix. It ended up being a silly mistake that I had made, and it made me feel kind of dumb. But that's okay, because in the end I did figure it out. I figured out how to fix it, and I figured out how to get back on track with the brioche charts, so I am not dumb. End of the story. It's great. So I'm just plugging along. This due date is sometime in the end of June. So, yes. Granted, also, I've made some mistakes in this brioche pattern, and I'm not gonna fix them because I don't think they're super noticeable. Maybe if you're really into noticing patterns and whether or not they look totally symmetrical and the same on both sides, you would notice, but I'm just gonna leave it. It's not that big a deal. So yeah, I'm just plugging along. I am using Barocco Vintage DK in obviously this very heathery gray colorway. Vintage DK. It is awesome. It's so squishy. Brioche is squishy in general. Let's get that yarn out of the way. Is that just not so pretty? I am very proud of myself, if I do say so myself. Like, that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work. It's a lot of brain power. But I did it. I am currently doing it. So yeah, I have gotten all that. I'm actually not even done with my first ball of yarn yet. Not that that really matters, but just interesting fact. So the yarn will go a long way. I'm excited. I believe there's also brioche on the sleeves. So there's really no break from the brioche. So if you love brioche and you want something to kind of challenge you, it was a big challenge for me, but if you do brioche all the time, then it may not be as big a challenge for you, it's definitely a learning thing. It's a learning thing. So if you want that, would highly recommend it. Like I said, this pattern doesn't come out until sometime in June, I think. So yes, that is that. The Hedra Helix Pullover by Rosemary, or the Woolly One on Instagram. Yes, happy days. So next up I would show you my other test knit, but like I said, I'm not sure if I can show it to you, so I'm just not going to. I do apologize. But it's awesome. Great stash buster. I'm using all very old stash, and it's great. So it's on the oh, I have a finished object. Let's talk about that. Last week I talked about my joy project. My joy project is done. So I have a new joy project, but my old joy project is done. I love it so much. This is the Honey Cowl. I now can't remember who it's by, but it is a beloved pattern by the entire knitting community because there's like 12,000 people who have done it, as the Ravelry project pages say. But anyway, it's just a DK weight cowl. You can change up the weight depending on your needle size or whatever, or you make adjustments with your needle size. This is Life in the Long Grass DK with the wolf colorway. I love this so much. This is a souvenir skein of yarn that I got when we were in Austin back in January. Well, my hair is long enough I can pull it out of my cowl. So exciting. And we obviously have ends that need to be woven in, but hasn't been blocked yet. I love this thing so much. Like, can we even, it's just beautiful. Kind of reminds me of sunflower, like very muted sunflowers. Because you got the bright yellow, but you've also got the black and the brown and the kind of orangey, rusty color that you get in sunflowers. I love it. I knit this on an 8. Goes super quickly. I used up as much of it as I could just because I wanted to knit with it as much as I could. So you don't have to make it as long as the pattern. I don't believe this is actually as long as the pattern calls for. I just knit until I knew I needed to bind off. I needed to have enough to bind off. Got a nice little beginning of round seam right there. Would highly recommend. This is also a super great gift pattern if you are wanting to make something quick for a friend or a family member and you do want to use nice yarn. This super great. Just buy a skein of DK, whip it up super fast. I would also say that this is a good project for a step above a beginner. So you're like, I'm done with scarves, I'm done with dishcloths. You're not quite ready for a hat yet, but you want to try knitting in the round and maybe reading a pattern. This is a good one to try. Would highly recommend. Also, because it's DK and it's not on an 8, and depending on how, like, if you changed up so you have a worsted and maybe like a 10 or a 9, it's super instant gratification and you make so much progress so quickly and it just feels so good, and it's like, ugh, it just, the texture is so nice. I love this texture. Oh, I love it so much. Anyway, Honey Cowl, it's awesome. You should make one for yourself and all your friends and family who are knit-worthy. Yes, yes, yes. So, while I am putting away this mysterious test knit that I'm not sure if I can show you currently because I didn't put it away and it's everywhere. I don't think I worked it all on my Anna's cardigan. Since last time I showed you, I don't think I've worked on it at all. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. I suppose I could check. I really don't think I have. I do know that the stitches are close to the end of the needle, which makes me kind of nervous. But I don't use needle stoppers. No. Maybe that much? I honestly, cannot remember what I show you guys between week to week, because I was getting ready to set up and start filming, and then I saw my honey cowl sitting on the bookcase, because there's a bookcase behind you. And I was like, I think I finished that last week. I don't need to show that again, because I finished it last week. And I was like, well, I don't actually remember. I should probably check. And I checked, and I hadn't finished it. So these, it's really weird, because I don't know. It's just the fact that time is weird, and time blends together, but also time goes really fast at the same time. How many times can we say the word time? Time. Because, so this, during the week, for me, thinking about, recording times, podcast recording times, the span, time goes pretty quickly. So usually it's wow, it's already Friday and I need to knit some more so I have some more content. Wow, it's already Sunday evening. I need to do something so I have some content. That kind of thing. But by the time that Monday rolls around and I sit down to record, it's wow, last Monday was ages ago. What did I talk about? I have no idea. We'll just wing it. I have to check my own show notes to figure out what I talked about. Because time is weird, you know? I don't know. So like I said, I don't know if I've done this since the last time I showed you. I do apologize if you have seen this and I am just forgetting. This is the Anna's cardigan by Petite Knit. I'm using Drops Charisma. Oh my goodness, this is so tangled. Why is this everywhere? There's so much yarn. Oh, the ball of yarn is in the bag. Why is it in there? You have to clean this up because this is really gonna bother me. You know, how is this wrapped around so many times? What did I do? What? It's like it came unraveled in the bag. Not a whole lot, but... And it's not like a ball that I wound up on a ball winder. Goodness gracious, I had so many text messages. Anna's cardigan, Petite Knit, Drops Charisma. Haven't really knit a ton on it. Maybe an inch since you last saw it. Probably not. I don't actually remember. So that is a thing. I really need to work on this thing. I really need to do it. It just hasn't been speaking to me, and you know what, that's okay. It happens, and so it's just, I've got other things that I need to work on, you know? Like this other test knit that I don't know if I can show you. That due date is at the very end of May, so it is a shorter test knit, but like I said, it's a big shawl, or not a big shawl, but it's like a wrap. I'm knitting it on a 10.5. It's great. Goes fast, but I still have the deadline of the end of May, so that is my priority, and my brioche pullover is my priority, and my new cast on is also my priority because it brings me joy. The Anna's cardigan currently does not bring me joy, so the cat has decided to switch around his position. Now he looks like a little cinnamon roll. So yes, that's where I am with that. Again, apologies if I showed it to you last week and I completely forgot. So, let's move along. So, next up, I have made progress of 4 rows. I really feel like I've done more. don't know. Maybe I don't know. I feel very wet. Like, I know I've made progress. This is my powder and dust shawl. I did move my progress keeper from when I last showed it to you guys, so I can see that I've done at least 4 rows. Not 2 like I did last week. I've done 4. So hopefully next week I will have done more rows than just 6, because it seems like we're just increasing by increments of 2. I don't want that to be the case. You know? I'm in the middle of a row. Oh my goodness, am I doing? No, I'm not doing the lace. Why did I stop in the middle of a row? What was I doing? Why did I do this? This is my powder and dust shawl. We're just going to show it to you in the middle of a row. This is a triangular shawl. It's a 3-color shawl. So I've got this lighter color. I did some striping, and I've got this beautiful, like butterscotchy color. Fancy a Butterbeer is the name of it. And then I will fade into this dark chestnut color, which I'm very excited about. This is by Vera Valimaki. If I have not said this, I'm doing this as a knit along with a friend. I'm loving it. I'm in the lace section. It's not mindless. I have to pay attention. I don't know why, but like every time I think about working on that thing, I am always doing something that requires brain power. Or I'm like having a conversation with someone that requires brain power, or I'm FaceTiming with someone that requires brain power. And granted, I don't mean that in the bad way, like, oh my goodness, these conversations just require so much brain power. It's just that I want to pay attention to the person that I'm talking to. So brain power in a fun way, hanging out via FaceTime in a fun way. And so doing a lace pattern that has given me problems and I just need to pay attention to it is not always the best thing to be working on while using my brain in other ways. So that is that, but I don't know why it seems like every time I think about working on it or I want to work on it, I am doing something like that. And it's not like when I'm just hanging out or when I'm listening to an audiobook or I want to catch up on YouTube or whatever. Yeah, was it last week? I think last week I talked about Waco and how I was just very distracting and I couldn't really work on it because the TV show Waco was so intense. So that needs to have some progress. But it's not currently the project that brings me joy. So that's why it hasn't had a ton of progress. Moving along to my joy project, which lives in this bag right now. Also because my joy projects are small and can live in bags like this. I need to look up this information because I don't have it. I can never remember it. Come along. I'm pretty sure. Yes, okay, so this is the Cozy Days cowl by Comfy Cozy Knits. Her name is Ashley, and she lives in Canada. She dyes yarn. That is beautiful. But she also designed a cowl that I am doing. Oh wait, hold on. This is not her design. I am so sorry. That's not her design. She was the yarn support for this particular design. She worked with the designer. The designer is Paula, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but her knitwear designing is Autumn Poppy Designs. And let's see, has she posted a picture of this cowl? Yes. Here we go. I was completely wrong. So yes, the Cozy Days cowl yarn support from Comfy Cozy Knits. The pattern is by Paula Autumn something Designs. If it'll focus. This is on her Instagram. So, yes, Autumn Poppy Designs. How did I not know that? Okay, but now I know, I guess. Anyway, this yarn is special because it is a COVID-19 yarn purchase. So my mom and I got yarn from different indie designers at the very beginning of the whole quarantine process just to help support people. And we picked Long Dog Yarns, who I got some yarn from for Christmas, and her yarn is just so beautiful. So getting to get some more of it was super fun, and it requires 1 skein of fingering and 1 skein of mohair, not necessarily matching colors. The more stripy, the better, and I realize that this is like, doesn't really look like anything, but it is, and it's amazing. So yes, you can see that I have the stripes of the regular fingering weight and then the stripes of the blue mohair in between. It is gorgeous. My main color is Pinky Swear. So we got this light pink base with speckles of dark teal and dark purple, magenta-y colors. And then my mohair color is just stunning. Don't want to make this ball of yarn collapse because I know it will. Oh, hello, there's stitch markers down there. Sea glass. I love it. I don't know why this like ball of yarn is like inverting itself. I'm not going to play around with it because it's happy the way it is and I don't want it to get a tangled mess. Anyway, this is her logo. And yeah, would highly recommend you checking out her shop. She has some incredible colors, incredible yarn, and her Instagram, she posts very fun pictures. So would highly recommend it. I don't have very much done, but also one thing I really need to switch up, and I think once I finish other projects it'll help, but I don't like having extra cord like this. This bothers me. I'm not increasing stitches at this point. I've got my set amount of stitches and I knit the pattern and then I connect the ends. But I have so much extra cord, but it was the only pair of 6s that I had available. I didn't have any smaller cords because yes, these are the interchangeable ones, but I couldn't find any smaller cords and I really wanted to cast it on, so I made do, and now I really am just irritated with this. Does anybody else get irritated with that? Like, it's one thing to be irritated with cord length that is too small and things get really bunched up and it's super aggravating and it's like, ah, it's so squishy. But on the other hand, it's very easy to get irritated with a cord that is everywhere and in the way. And yes, I know that ChiaoGoo cords are so much better than a lot of the other cords because they don't kink and they don't like twirl and all that, or like curl up on each other themselves, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. And so it could be much worse. But I really just don't like having that extra span because it's just too much to wrangle with the 2 strands that are happening, plus knitting with a single strand of mohair, which is very time consuming. I have strong feelings about this, can you tell? But like I said, I have regular 6s available, but they have the bluntest tip. And knitting mohair with a super blunt tip does not sound like fun. So I feel like that would irritate me more than the long cord. So I just need to find a shorter cord, find whatever project that is on, and make adjustments accordingly. Ooh, excuse me. Maybe it's time for a nap. I don't know. So, baking wise, what did I bake last week? I baked a honey all-purpose loaf, because technically it was supposed to be honey whole wheat. I did not use whole wheat because I don't have whole wheat flour, that is. So I used all-purpose. It was great, delicious, amazing. That was really, really, really great. Kind of like a sandwich bread, but it's sweet, but it's not too sweet, so you can't enjoy things with savory things, which is really, really wonderful. This week I'm making English muffins, coming full circle, because that's what I did as my first quarantine sourdough item. We're doing it again. I was also able to find both all-purpose and bread flour at our grocery store, the H-E-B. If you don't have H-E-Bs near you, that's what they are. It's a grocery store. It's our local grocery store. One of them. And in fact, I actually saw that they still had quite a bit on the shelves. They weren't like at the front. They were definitely towards the back of the shelves, so people had been taking them away. But like there was at least 5 or 6 bags of each on the shelves, which was very encouraging. So I do have a fresh bag of all-purpose, a fresh bag of bread, flour, and then I have a bag of self-rising flour that I got for forever ago. So that's very exciting. So yes, the English muffin dough is currently doing its bulk rise. It will sit overnight in the refrigerator, and then I will prep all that stuff tomorrow and make those little guys. I love English muffins. I love sourdough. And pretty much every time I've made something that we would normally buy, so like bagels or sourdough, or English muffins, or like a loaf of bread, really, my response is always, we're never buying this again. I'm making it for forever, which always makes Sam laugh. And I really do believe, I think that English muffins and bagels specifically are things that I probably won't buy anymore unless I need to, because making them is so much fun, and it's so good because it's sourdough and it tastes so good. I love it so much. So that's very exciting. Like I also said, I have chocolate chip cookie dough in the fridge, marinating. And I will bake that is when I'm done recording, so that's very exciting. It's my go-to chocolate chip cookie recipe from Handle the Heat. I've also been enjoying recipes from a new food blogger, Instagrammer that I found recently, and her blog Instagram is called Half Bake Harvest. She has the most beautiful pictures, and they look super fancy, and they look really intense, and it looks like you use a lot of really fancy like ingredients, and it takes a long time, and you use a lot of like tools, and you dirty a lot of dishes, but that's not the case. And she gives really good alternatives, what to do if you don't have things like coconut milk, or making it vegan, or making it vegetarian, or like if you don't have a certain kind of nuts, you can use any kind of nuts. If you don't have peppers, you can use frozen vegetables or whatever, which I really appreciate, just in general, but also especially now, because sometimes it can be hard to find those items. She also she'll put together Instagram stories of making the recipe of the day or whatever. Excuse me. And so it's fun to watch her make it. She'll also talk you through it. She'll show you all the ingredients that you need. She'll tell you the substitutions you can make if you want. And like, I don't know, the fact that it is so easy and the fact that her pictures are so gorgeous and it looks like it came from like a Bon Appetit magazine just makes me feel very like accomplished and like, ooh, I can make that. And I'm gonna make that one. And it looks real fancy. It may not look as fancy when I do it, but I am doing that recipe and I'm just very excited. So this evening I'm making broccoli cheddar rice or chicken casserole, rice casserole. There's broccoli, there's cheddar, there's chicken, there's rice, and it's a casserole. But the picture is just like, oh man, I need that right now. So that's really exciting. I will include that in the show notes, of course, if you're interested in following food Instagrammers so you can constantly be inspired by their pictures of food and also to see the pictures of the food when you are hungry and be more hungry. Or not, but also just enjoy the really beautiful pictures of the food. That is very exciting. Baking wise, that's it. Book wise, I've already finished one book. I'm almost finished with my second book, which is very exciting. My first book, also backstory, some of my favorite booktubers, one of them in particular, has created this book club thing on Facebook that you have to, or you can join, and you have things that you have to do to join, and like you like get submitted, you have to submit forms, all that jazz. Super fun, a lot of fun events, lots of readathons going on. I feel like I started, or I joined at the right time just because it was the end of April and the beginning of May, so I can start off with the beginning of May. So I have several readathons going on this month, which is very exciting. My first book is for a, it's called the Listen Up audiobook readathon, and it's basically all audiobooks. First one was Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. If you are not familiar with her, she is Lorelai Gilmore on the Gilmore Girls. It was a wonderful book. I would highly recommend it if you like her in general, if you like her as Lorelai, if you like the Gilmore Girls. It was just it was a feel-good book. And you also learned about her as a person, her growing up, her schooling, getting onto the Gilmore Girls, all that process, filming the Gilmore Girls, filming a year in the life of the Gilmore Girls, like all that jazz. All the warm, fuzzy feelings. I laughed out loud multiple times in this book. It was great. Laughing out loud while listening to this book did prove to be difficult sometimes because I was listening to it while I was running multiple days. Not multiple days, I think it was just one. So that was tricky. Oh, maybe it was two. I don't know. Either way, I was laughing while I was running. It was that funny. And I was running, so it was hard. Anyway, I don't know why that was important to share that bit of information. It was really good. I'm currently almost done with The Room on Rue Amélie by Kristen Harmel. I'm pretty sure, did she write the Nightingale one? We're gonna look this up. Yes. No, she did not. That was Kristen Hanna. Kristen. We're gonna look this up. Kristen Harmel. What else has she written? Anyway, it's basically, if you liked, I have to look at all these other ones. Sorry, I got distracted. If you enjoyed The Tattooist of Auschwitz, which I read that recently. If you enjoyed that book or just like that type of book, you will like this book. Granted, I haven't finished it yet, but it's so good. She does such a good job of like bringing the past to life and creating these fictional characters in the past, but also making them feel very real and very like they actually lived and like all this stuff happened. It happens over a period of years, but I believe it starts off in 1939, so World War II, all that stuff. There's a British RAF pilot, and there's 3 main characters really that you follow and how their lives get connected and how they need each other in order to succeed in the things that they do. I also particularly like it because I have a very special place in my heart for France. If you are new to the podcast, I did a study abroad my junior year of college in France for 10 weeks. It was a life-changing experience. I love France. I love French. I can speak French a little bit. To a certain extent, I can speak French. I can read it probably better than I can speak it. So the descriptions of the different places in Paris, especially in historical novels, for some reason, like, make me miss it even more, just because if you go to Paris, it is already a very historically saturated city, and it's gorgeous and it's beautiful, and like you can feel the history there. But then being able to read about it and also know what that feels like at the same time, and being like, wow, this is amazing, I love this, and you have these characters and this really great storyline, and it's like, I don't want this book to end. I would highly recommend it. Granted, I'm not done with it yet. I think I have about an hour and a half left. But it's very good. So that'll be my book 2. I'm not sure what will be book 3, but I have a long list of books, that I will be reading this month. Last month I read 9 books, and I have way more than 9 this month. Granted, I think I can probably do it. I feel like I got into a reading slump last month and it just kind of stopped. So I didn't get as much done as I could have gotten done. We'll see. I'm very excited. So yes, that is what I have read, what I'm currently reading. My baking, my knitting. The cat is still sleeping. He's snoring. But yeah, that is all that I have for you guys this week. I know that I did a lot of knitting. Granted, one of the things that I worked on most was this thing that I'm not sure if I can show you. So, yes. I will check, and I will see if I can show it to you. If not, I have to also remember to do that. So, I may also pull out another languishing whip to work on, just to throw some variety in there. Not that 5 projects is not enough. So, yes. Is there anything else that I have to talk about? No, I don't think so. So, with that, thank you so much for watching this week's podcast. Thanks for hanging out with me. Like always, I really appreciate every single one of you. And all your comments, likes, and subscribes, and all that jazz. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and you continue to have a wonderful week. If you have crafty plans, I hope that they are successful. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, wherever you may be, whatever your quarantine situation may be. Whether you're going out and about, if things have opened up for you, or if they have not. I have lots of crafty plans. Like I just said, I may pull in another languishing whip to add to the rotation, because why not? Why not? I looked and I double checked, because before I thought I had 14 projects on the needles. I currently only have 12 projects on the needles, and I don't remember correctly, but maybe a goal of mine this year was to get my projects below 10. I don't remember if it was 10 or if it was like 7 or like 5, which would be really intense. Because I have 5 sitting here. Actually, I have 6 sitting here that's been sitting here for a while that I haven't worked on. So, either way, 12 is still amazing. Amazing! I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one, because that is so much better than what it used to be. Granted, if you feel joy by having a lot of projects on your needles, or feel joy by only having one project on your needles, that is wonderful. I am trying to figure out what does bring me joy in regards to that. Because I feel like I don't actually know, and I'm just trying to figure it out as I go along. So who knows with how many projects I will end up on my needles. Show notes, social media, yarn store information, all that stuff will be in the show notes and on the YouTube information thing down below. So if you're on my blog already, everything's already down below, or if you're on YouTube, the link to my blog is down below. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, maybe have a finished object next week. I don't know. Who knows? I have no idea. I probably won't even remember by next week, if we're being completely honest. So who knows what will happen next week? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and find out until when I record next Monday. So with that, I will see you guys next week.